Hello and welcome to the Growth Gap. My name is Aslam Khatri. Today I want to talk about entrepreneurship and being in business. Both of them have the same connotation. A lot of people you speak to, they say, I am a business person running my business. When you know that they are basically solopreneurs who are working for their business. So what separates and how can we get from a solopreneur, from a person who is in business to an entrepreneur who can increase their business, who can have their business run independent of them? You see, I've been a serial entrepreneur for many years. I started my career as an accountant, as a consultant, working for many of my clients. Behind the books, I could see so much that I learned, and see who is going to succeed and who is just going to be working for their paycheck in their business. And that truly helped me a lot and grow within myself, to the point that then I became an entrepreneur myself. And I started my own businesses. I worked in partnerships where we grew businesses, or we grew a business from a very small amount to the highest of $250 million. And at the same time, I must tell you, yes, and then I had a lot of failures also. But that was the part of the process. So with all that experience, what I want to talk about is what is that makes a person a solopreneur and what makes a person an entrepreneur. In other words, are you working for your business, or is your business working for you? So there are six simple, you can call it the journey from being a single operator to an entrepreneur. So the first thing is the mindset. The mindset shift is so important. Second is the documentation. What do we have in our place? Number 3, the delegation. That's the most important one. Number 4, systems. Number 5, leadership. And then number 6 is the strategic oversight of the company itself. So these 6 stages, if one can set those things up, and again, they're neither easy nor fast. All that takes time to build, but you need to start from somewhere. So what is the mind shift? Mindset shift. The mindset shift is where you have an operator's mindset, which says, what happens if I don't show up tomorrow? The business won't run. My customers won't come to me. I will see all kind of bottlenecks. How many times we hear people say, well, I was on a vacation for a week, so now I've come back and I have double the job. Which means that while you were on vacation, your job did not get done. Now, so many other people that you asked the question, simple question. What would happen to your business if you were? What happens to your business if you were away for 30 days? Many people will just laugh and chuckle, and they will say, what do you mean 30 days? I can't leave for 2 weeks. Now that means that you are a solopreneur. That means what you are is an operator, that you get a salary from your company, which you earn, not what your company earns. Now, if you were an entrepreneur, then you would ask yourself the same thing, different question. The question would be, how can I build systems? What can I do, a manual that I can build for my employees so they can follow while I'm not there and they do not have to call me? What if I had an operating system that just went on? What is it costing me to be doing what I am doing right now, where I can hire somebody else to do this menial job while I can go out and do something else that will be better for my business. Who can I train? And that, just simple questions. When you start asking that question, that mindset that starts putting through your mind that now I want to run the business. I don't want the business to run me. You see, shift only happens when we realize that all we've been doing is working for our business and that the business is not working for us. Now, we can talk about a lot of other stuff, a lot of stuff that you can talk about what business it is, what you're doing. Now, if you're a professional, then you're not in business. That's a professional is a separate deal. But if you call yourself a business person because you open your doors in the daytime and you leave home from there, but if that company does not run without you, if there's no other people who can make decisions in your place, then you have a problem. Phase 2 is truly the documentation. Let's take an example. McDonald's. When you walk into McDonald's, you see mostly of the young people working. And they're working, their job is just like a well-oiled machine. They just continue to do the same thing over and over and over again, helping their customers. Because what they have is a system. A system has been put that a 16-year-old young person can do whatever needs to be done versus you don't need a 30-year experienced person. I've seen my own grandchildren going and working at McDonald's where the systems are so clear that they get into the job and they start doing the job. So that's the first thing that any person has to do. Document what is going on. I mean, we can talk about, we're going to start from on a different aspect where we're going to start talking about making a business plan and see where your business plan is going to take. But in that business plan, and from there on, there has to be a standard operating system. There has to be a system which says, this is how we buy things, this is time when we open, this is the time when we close, what are we going to do? Everything has to be documented. So once you have done the documentation, now you're ready to give that particular manual that you created to operate your business, or that is created based on the operations of your business. Now you're ready to start delegating it to somebody else. Most of the people, they have a lot of difficulty. And this is where tremendous amount, or so many people, they just give up. They give up because they feel nobody can do my job. I'm the only one who can do this. What if my customers don't like them? What if these guys screw up? What happens if they fail? I mean, when you sit, and trust me, I've sat with so many of these people where they have the most difficult time delegating or giving it to somebody else. So how do you do that? How do you start delegating to another person? And that, people basically don't like somebody else taking their job. But if you have a manual as to how we do things, and if you can start training people, again, I am not saying that somebody has to just walk in get a person and walk away and say, this is it, now I've delegated. No, delegation is a slow process. It's a process with which you work with those few chosen people that you have started to trust, the ones who you feel can take the ball and run with it. But first, you have to have the documentation. Second, you need to start training in the sense of letting them make decisions. A lot of people are very afraid to do that. Say, I cannot allow anybody else to make the decision in my business because this is my business. I'm the only one who can run it. But once you say that, then you're back to the very sole entrepreneur, solopreneurs, the sole person, an operator who's just working for the company. So must have delegation, must give that, have that faith. And yes, one of the most important things is to let them make a mistake. We did that. And we always found that if you delegate it to somebody, and until and unless you let them make the mistakes by making a decision, they will not do anything because they will hold back, because they'll be afraid. They'll be afraid for their own job. So you need to give that power to the employees. It's all about finding the right people and then working with them. Now, it's very possible. And that's why this is such a long process. And people then give you answers, well, I can't find the right people. No, the right people are there. It's just we need to go look for the right people. Because if you're looking for the business to go up, then that's what is required. That is the most important part. We need to delegate. We need to work with the people. We need to give them the authority to do certain things. And you will be amazed once you start doing that. But it is a difficult process. You see, now that you have people that you can hold on to, you need to start doing what we call strategic planning. You see, this is where after the delegation, the systems come in. You can start doing a true system which people can start following. And once you are making it repeatable, like I said originally, example of McDonald's, if you can make it repeatable, then you are leaving such information with your people that you're delegating it with. So you have delegated it. Now you got to put those systems which start to put people together. The core business systems for marketing, for sales, for delivery, for operations, for finance, for employees. Once you start putting those particular systems, that documentation, it starts to work where everybody has their own tasks to do. You have finance, you have a controller. You have sales, you have sales manager. You have marketing manager. So now what you're doing is you are breaking down your work with different people. So now your business is chunked out into the people who make the business itself. Now, not necessarily that you're going to have a VP of finance, not necessarily that you're going to have the VP. You're going to start with the managers who are now reporting to you. So what you're doing is you're taking tasks, you're breaking down your company, you've broken down your company's systems, operations, and now you are delegating to each one of the people to do what needs to be done. of course, sales, marketing, finance, logistics, operations, and financial operations. So all that, everybody is now answering to you. Just think about it as you're doing this. These are the people that you have trained. These are the people that you have given your systems. Now they are each taking their own role. Once these people have taken their roles, now you are talking about truly leadership. What do I mean by that? Because once these people have started working where you have designed an ideal system for them, you will begin the leadership, and that is the leadership layer. Who reports to who before they come to you? Most of the companies, an operations manager will take over logistics, and finance may take over sales and marketing. It all depends. What have you trained people? But now what you're doing is you are building a pyramid whereby you are, as an entrepreneur, you are separated from the business. The business is running in its own chunks. But those chunks, they report up. And as they report up, that person reports to you. So now instead of answering or talking to 6 different people, you're meeting 2 people and getting information on the operations and getting on the finance and sales and marketing. So as to how, again, depends on where do you find, what are the strengths of those people. Once you find the strengths of the people, that's where you give. And of course, you start looking at it, you see how these people are doing it. Now, the most difficult thing is, and the hardest thing for a person is to let go. Let go of the business. Let go of the thought that somebody else is going to be running my business. And that is something that you must come in terms with. Because if you didn't do this, if you didn't work on if you did not work on your systems, and if you did not work on letting go your power, then nothing is going to happen. So you need to let go. Think about it as a machine that is working. Now that machine can start churning and giving you the chunks of money that you expected, so that now you can take yourself from that leadership position to become the strategic oversight. This is what you do now. What you do is the strategic oversight. So what you're doing now is you're doing a strategic planning. You're now able to go out and talk to your large clients, which means you can now bring in more business. More and more we found that small businesses would be stuck, or one-man show would be stuck, even though they would go out and get a contract from a big box store first. But it is so difficult because they are owner-operators. It's so difficult for them to create the rapport with the large clients. Therefore, they cannot get more business. And also, at every time they're doing this, they're at risk of losing it to somebody else. But just imagine if your business is running where you do not have to go out and fix the garage door because it's not working today. And that has happened. I've seen so many of my clients who were just so busy. So busy doing what? So, well, I had to clean the machine, then I had to go fix the garage door. If you're doing that, then you're working for your business. But imagine you gave it to somebody else. If somebody else was doing that, then now what you're doing is building relationships. You're out there. First of all, you've done your strategies. You're out there. You're talking about new clients, business development. You are now talking to them about other products. Yeah, just think about it. If you had the time to do this, you could even look at somebody who is like you when you were a few years ago. Now you can acquire their company. Because the person that you can acquire, or the person that you were a few years ago, was an owner-operator. There are a lot of owner-operators who will be willing, because they're going to get their salary, they're going to work, and then you can start from there and increase your business. So there's just so many great opportunities. There's just so much that's available once you have a time to do the strategic planning, to go see your clients, to go work and develop your business, to do the financial oversight, to meet with the financial people, to see how and what is your next expansion program. Because that is what you should be doing, to expand your business, to continue to grow your business. You know, the business that I talked about, so many people that I have seen, so many companies that we went to do the due diligence or even the conversations, you would see that unless and until the people had put together a team, unless and until you had a team, we will not even talk to you. Because us ourselves, we were few who ran the business, but we were totally away from the business. What we called ourselves is the head office. And the head office, even though it was part where the operations were, we were totally separate. We let the managers run their business. Let the hierarchy come to us and tell us what is happening. We ran the companies as if we were the board of directors. We ran the companies for the strategy. And that permitted us to acquire so many small companies. That was amazing. Because most of these companies, what they do is they keep on growing to a certain point, and then they get to the Peters principle. And the reason they get to the Peters principle is because they are owner-operated companies. Even when you look at a company that has 30 to 50 employees, who's the president? The owner himself. And what he is doing or what she is doing is running that company. You walk into these places, 50 people may be working. Ask a question and they will say, go ask the president, because he's the only one who's going to give you that answer. So as long as you're doing that, you are not growing. You are just not growing. And even if you're growing, you have put yourself in a situation where you cannot sell the company, where you cannot retire, where you cannot even take a 30-day vacation, because everything depends on one person. So it's so important, and it's such a great journey that you can make from being an owner-operator to running an enterprise, And you can do that as long as you are committed to do these steps, as long as you're committed to do the journey. A lot of people give up. They give up at the minute it comes to the delegation, they give up. The minute it comes to asking questions, don't ask me questions. Because I don't know, I just do it. Well, then you do not have a business. So, my friends, this is just the beginning where we're going to start talking about the business development, and we're going to start talking about as to how to become an entrepreneur. And I hope you will enjoy and take away some good some good lessons from this. Now, if you know who needs to hear this, please send it to them. Please subscribe to my channel so I can bring you more of this stuff. Till next time, I'm Aslam Khatri, wishing you a great strategic business.